What's going on, guys? My name is Triforce Addiction. Welcome back to another COD Mobile video. So today we are going to be comparing the Chicom with the KSP. So I've been holding out on this video for quite a bit busy with school, as well as forming the second channel. Link below in the description if you do want to go subscribe to that one, if you are into Nickelodeon or even just Nintendo stuff in general. But yeah, today we are going to be comparing both the Chicom as well as the KSP, something that I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys are wondering. Of course, this is just going to be my own personal opinion, which I prefer better, but it's going to be an interesting one because both of these weapons are very, very similar to each other. So we're going to start off with the Chicom. So this is the very first burst SMG to arrive at this game. I believe it was a launch weapon, meaning that it came out before Season 1 started. And I'm not talking about this past Season 1 or the one before that. I'm talking about like the very, very first Season 1, like literally when the app first launched. It was among the very short list of SMGs at the time. And from what I remember, I mean, I joined this game pretty late, around Season 6 in that year. And from what I remember, it was a pretty solid SMG. That wasn't until like the Gunsmith came out where it just got fucked beyond comparison. So this gun originated from Black Ops 2. It was the burst SMG for that game, and actually one of my personal favorites. I enjoyed using it a lot when I got it Diamond, but that was back like in Black Ops 2 during the Wii U days. Trust me, I played that game on a Wii U. It is a different thing. Of course, they function differently in their respective games, but in Black Ops 2, I remember it used the burst delay was a lot different. It was a lot faster. You were able to pump out your bullets so much quicker and destroy your enemies pretty fast. Of course, this one's a little bit slower, but it is still pretty effective nonetheless. The way it performs right now is much better than it did a year ago or even before that. And that was mainly because it had very, very low damage. There was an SMG overhaul last year around Season 4, I believe, but it still really wasn't enough. It just gave it some movement buffs, and that's pretty much it. But from what I remember in that public test build, you were actually able to 3-shot from almost a mile away. I remember it being super overpowered, but I guess they did some last-minute modifications for the final release because it kind of remained shit for a while until recently, where it got a multiplier buff, making it a little bit stronger in close range. Not only that, it also received an ammo capacity buff. Back then, the highest amount of bullets that you could have is like, I believe, maybe 42? I think around that area, or 39, somewhere around that ballpark. But now you're able to have a whopping amount of just like 51 bullets. So that's absolutely crazy. I personally didn't believe that it needed that much bullets, but I'm sure they made it that way so they would incentivize people to use the weapon a little bit more. I mean, I'm pretty sure there's quite a bit of a leaderboard for this weapon for weapon mastery. You would think a change as big as this would kind of warrant a legendary skin, but you'd be wrong. They did buff the weapon, but they never released a legendary skin for this weapon, which is kind of weird actually, because it's been 3 years and not once has this weapon ever received a legendary skin. If anything, the blueprint that you're seeing right now came with the Season 6 Battle Pass, and it's the only Battle Pass blueprint for the Chicom that I think I've ever seen. There has been some other geometry changing skins for this gun, but they're very, very rare. I think probably one of the most notable skins for the Chicom is probably the Moonstone. I received that a long time ago through a crate. It was one of the first crates I ever bought, so yeah, I had some interest in this gun way back when. But the damage now is pretty solid for the most part. However, making a 3-shot kill is still kind of hard because you still have to shoot in the upper chest to have like that 36 damage. And keep in mind, the headshot damage is pretty high too. I think it goes up to the 40s. But even then, a perfect 3-shot kill is never really guaranteed. But the most important change is the fact that you don't have to like 5-shot from like across the map anymore. For the most part, it kind of stays a consistent 4-shot in mid to long ranges from what I've seen. But I think they found a good middle ground because I've always said that, buffing burst weapons is kind of like a delicate thing because if you do it too much, it's going to be extremely overpowered. So I think they found a really good balance for the Chicom. However, if we're going to compare it between the KSP, it might actually fall short. Despite it being a faster burst weapon, it's really not too reliable compared to the KSP because it's a little bit more restricted when it comes to movement, and that's because we just have the standard gunsmith layout for this gun. As for the KSP, it has the Cold War layout, which has a lot more leniency when it comes to your movement. You could put like a marksman barrel or some sort of light barrel, and it will slightly affect your movement speed for the Chicom. But when you use a KSP like a task force or anything that could extend range or bullet speed, it doesn't really affect it that much. So already the Chicom's already in a massive disadvantage just because it doesn't have the Black Ops Cold War setup. But I could see this weapon besting it maybe in close range. But in medium to long ranges, or even just like close mid range / whatever, I mean, it might succeed if you're like shooting first, or if you're like landing all shots to the head, but it's still it's not really guaranteed because, like I said, the strafing speed, the movement speed is a lot slower compared to the KSP. I mean, you can make it faster, but not by a lot. And keep in mind with extended mags as well, or, you know, monolithic suppressors, marksman barrels, it's going to slow it down even harder. So that's something that the KSP doesn't have, and it's a huge advantage. So now we move on to the KSP, which is a brand new burst SMG that's just been released a few weeks ago for Season 6. And I mean, immediately right off the bat, it's a completely different burst type SMG. And that's mainly because it's a little bit slower, but at the same time, it also has a lot more range and just a whole lot more movement. Recoil is never affected either, because I just said before that you could put any attachment you want. It won't really slow down your weapon too much, unless maybe you're using the Field Agent foregrip or a different, like just like one of those barrels. But even then, it doesn't really matter because I'm sure most of you guys are just going to pick the Task Force barrel. The Task Force barrel is very well known for Black Ops weapons to add a lot more recoil to your gun, but add some pretty good benefits. I mean, you could look at the Peacekeeper yourself, or even the MAC-10. Those attachments usually add a lot of vertical recoil as well as horizontal recoil, but with this gun, it doesn't really matter. You could have it on and still completely best people. And this is one of the only Black Ops Cold War weapons that doesn't have any downsides with agency suppressor. So if you guys ever use that, it gives you, of course, suppression as well as a vertical recoil control. But the downside is that it reduces your range by, like, I believe 10%. But this is, I think, one of the SMGs, well, I guess the Black Ops SMGs, that doesn't actually do that. Another thing worth noting about the KSP is that it does run on bullet speed. It's decently fast enough for you to actually hit people from, you know, close to medium ranges. But, I mean, you know, upgrading your bullet speed with a certain barrel doesn't really make any sort of difference. The range boost, the highest at least that you can go is, I believe, up to like 20-25. Nothing major, and for good reason, obviously, because you could already 3-shot from a long range. And that's why you could actually best the Chicom, because from already a medium range, they're already at disadvantage. It's going to be a 4-shot kill for them to kill you, but you could still 1-burst them relatively easily if you're accurate. And let's not forget to mention that you could actually 2-shot with this weapon. If you land at least 1 headshot and a shot to like the chest, you're going to be able to like perform a 2-shot kill, which is, I think, the only SMG that can do that. So that's a huge advantage over the Chicom already. And remember, it's not something that just fades away within a few feet. No, you could 2-shot headshot from pretty far ranges. As for movement, it's already extremely fast. You don't even need the non-slip foregrip or that whatever foregrip that makes it go faster, or even the the agile stock. It's already fast as it is. I actually had to slow it down because it was too fast. But yeah, if you want to burst and be a speed demon at the same time, this is like the best weapon for you. In terms of ammo capacity, it's pretty standard for the most parts, nothing really crazy. It does have an extended mag as well as a fast reload. The starting amount, I believe, is 30, but you could, of course, have faster reload speeds. And for the extended mag, I believe it goes up to like 42, and that's pretty much it. But I doubt that's really going to make a difference anyways. And it's worth mentioning that there's really no downsides for having any of those mags. It's really still the same. There's no movement reduction or anything like that. Maybe a reload speed reduction if you're using the extended mag, but other than that, yeah, it's like there's no punishment for using that. So overall, I would have to say that the KSP is a far better option because it just has the Black Ops setup, and already just like that, it has a complete advantage over the Chicom. Yes, I know there are people that prefer the Chicom over this one, but I would say, like, for an all-around balance with movement, stability, power, and range, yeah, this is the best option for you. And best of all, this thing actually is getting a legendary. So yeah, Anyways, I hope you guys enjoy. Let me know what you guys think, which is the better weapon. So yeah, anyways, see you guys next time. Thank you.